Okay. So good evening, everybody. My name is Kate Dowd. I am the staff liaison here for the Parks Commission. Mr. Wiley, Ms. Dukendock, Ms. Laura Stearns, and another staff liaison, Cody Chester with the Public Works Department. I do appreciate you all making time to attend our meeting this evening after a long Liberty weekend, so I know it's tough to have another long day, but we do not have a ton on our meeting agenda tonight, so hopefully we can just go through the agenda items fairly quickly. So as you can see, the first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes for July 11th, 2023. So do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for July 11th, 2023.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Agenda item 2 is a review of the upcoming event and activity dates that we have. The only one that we do have on the schedule at this time is our Fall Glow Walk, which this year will be held on Friday, November 3rd at 5:30. The health department has been in contact with us. Just as a reminder, this event is part of the Worcester County Just Walk initiative, so we are in partnership with the health department with it. Atlantic General, for those that were with us for our spring walk, Atlantic General will also be there again, providing blood pressure screenings, pre-diabetes screenings, and perhaps other resources as well. They are just still finalizing what they will be able to offer with what we will have available to them on that day. So they will also be there again. Ms. Carol Pike has been asked to lead our warm-up for the walk again, so hopefully she will be there.
Is she the same lady who was there earlier?
Yes, she was the one that was there for the
in
spring
the
walk,
spring walk.
and did offer to be there again for the glow walk. So hopefully she will be able to confirm her availability. But the planning is underway, so if everybody can just keep Friday, November 3rd marked on their calendars. The registration starts at 5:30. We will have online sign up leading up to the date, but registration will start at 5 and the walk will start promptly at 5:30.
Is this before or after daylight savings change?
I do believe it is before this year.
Okay.
And
The daylight savings ends the next day.
Okay. So this is still, it'll still be kind of light.
It will be, and I think we had discussed last year perhaps starting the walk a little bit later, because the early part of the walk, it was still light out,
Oh,
and you couldn't
completely.
get the glow effect. The problem is that we are limited in sidewalks along the path of the walk, so that is why we have opted to not change the
Okay.
time.
So
For safety purposes.
it'll be glowy at the end of the walk.
It will.
Well,
We'll
that's
get the
kind
full
of, you know,
effect in the second half of the walk.
that's fine. I just want to know what to expect, so people don't have to worry about it so much about having flashlights when they walk out. They could do the whole walk and it would still be light if they wanted to. So,
Yeah.
well, it's kids with, you
If
know.
they did a leisurely stroll, they will hit some darkness, but.
Well, a lot of families with young children might
Yeah.
want to take that into consideration.
But that is why the time has not changed, just for safety reasons.
That's fine, I just wanted to be sure, I just wanted to, you know, because I certainly can't keep track of daylight savings time. Thank you.
All right, so that is the upcoming event that we have. Item number 3 on the agenda, included in your meeting packet, is the open space project priority list that we presented to you earlier this year. So the list may look familiar. At this time, there have not been any changes made to the list, but the reason why we have included it in the packet for this evening was because we do anticipate having to make some changes the next time around when we submit this after the first of the year. The hope is that we will bring this back up again for discussion in our January meeting of 24. But 2 line items that I would like to just bring to your attention now are 2 changes that we do anticipate making. The first will be technically line item 3, the purchase of AED units for each park. That will be coming off the list entirely. We have been made aware that the AED units themselves are not eligible for community parks and playground funding. They're not considered, or we were told that they do not have an expected lifespan of 20 years. So they would not qualify for funding. So that will be, well, so that's not to say that the town will not pursue the purchase of them in the future, but they will not be able to remain on this list.
That there might be other funding from another source.
Exactly.
Okay,
So
so that
it's not
sounds like something for,
Out
you
of
know.
sight, but it will be coming off the list.
Okay, thank you.
And the other item that we will have to do a little revision to is the line item 5, which is the purchase of waterside life-saving devices. I did make a note here, the reason why we will have to make a change with these is because we received a disclaimer that the devices must be incorporated into a larger project, such as line item 9 perhaps, which is the observation platform over the lagoons at Heron Park. I realize there is a bit of uncertainty going on with the park, but nonetheless, we will have to make some changes to that line item as well. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention now, because come the first of the year, we will have to, I would imagine that the list will remain relatively the same in terms of the priority of things, but we will have to make some changes to those 2 items specifically over the next few months.
But it looks like this is something to be combined, as you said, with
Yes.
this
Yes.
observation platform. So
Yes.
that's a good way. I'm glad that there are ways that we can, you know, still achieve our goals.
Still pursue, still pursue the options, but, again, we are not looking to not pursue the purchase of AEDs or life-saving devices. We just have to make some revisions to how to go about acquiring the funding for
That's
them.
good. I do think they're important.
Yeah.
I witnessed a child having a heart attack at Allen Fields.
Did you?
North Sidewalk, I mean, at, the Worcester County Fields. So, ever since then, I've thought that, and someone that was there also, it was during the cross, someone that was there, that owns a business locally, purchased one of these because of that. And someone had a car accident right in front of their business, and they saved somebody's life with it.
Wow.
So, to me, that is really important, and I'd love to see that go in, you know, somewhere.
Yeah.
At least it's the most affordable thing on here.
Of course, yeah.
I was reading something about, the tennis courts, pickleball ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
so,
that coming up?
so I think we anticipated it coming up tonight, but
Yeah,
I
I have
don't.
some.
Okay, so I guess Mr.
Yeah.
Wiley will bring it up. I guess we were expecting maybe some people to be in attendance.
Yeah, I thought Tony
Yeah.
was gonna be
Do
here.
you wanna talk about it now, or wait till?
I'll wait till we get to
Okay.
that point, yeah.
Sure. But yes, I do believe the project to perhaps incorporate pickleball as part of the tennis courts, as Steve Decatur, will remain on this list.
But it might move up depending on funding, I guess, or something.
I do believe we even made aware that fundraising will begin, has started on it, so, I guess come the first of the year, we'll have to see where we're at with the funding that is available.
Who's doing the pickleball conversion fundraising?
Tony Wiegand's with We Heart Berlin, but also Jay Nern's,
Jay, yeah, he's going.
Well, you know, I love that they're doing that, but what if they fundraise for these AED units? I mean, maybe we can put that out to them if it's a wish list and it's something that we can't justify at this time.
Yeah.
I mean, this sounds like something if you,
Yeah.
you know, you feel very strongly about
I think
it. That's a
that some of the
compelling story.
Pickleball conversion stuff would be a lot less, there's a lot less money than AEDs. Yeah, I don't think the pickleballs are very expensive.
No, I don't think it
Yeah.
is, but.
Yeah, I did
but-
some,
So-
research on.
I don't remember if you
Yeah.
recall, but back in early spring, I printed it out here, Public Works Director Jimmy Charles did attend, I think, our March meeting,
Mhm.
because the talk of perhaps incorporating pickleball at Steve Decatur Park was, something that was brought to our attention that was gaining popularity. So, he sought out a quote, and at the time, again, this was a couple of months ago, in early spring of this year, and the quote to convert 2 of the tennis courts at Steve Decatur Park into 6 pickleball courts. An estimated lump price of just under $92,000 was quoted.
Oh, wow, that's
Which
amazing.
was
That's a
quite
very
a-
reasonable.
Do you think?
I think considering what they have
I'm
to do
not-
and how
Restriping and, yeah.
they have to clean it, they have to, you know, they have
Yeah.
to prepare it
That can be
properly.
used at the lower, I think, I was reading, as one of the options,
Okay.
yeah.
And if it's not good, they come back and fix it. I mean, that's the option, that's
Yeah.
what's nice about having somebody do it. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think you're gonna find it, I mean, go out and try again, get another
No.
quote, but.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think, I did speak with Mary earlier today when the topic of pickleball came up, and I think, what she has suggested, which I think you would, I would imagine be all in agreement of, is before, of course, doing anything, is perhaps putting out a community survey to see what the community interest would be
Yeah,
with taking on a project like that. So
Right, yeah.
I think we are aware that pickleball is gaining popularity, is becoming a very popular
Yeah.
sport. I see people playing it all the time, of all ages. But before we do anything in town to existing
Oh,
structures in town,
No, no,
it might be
No,
worth.
I'm just saying, yeah, that I think that that's a reasonable, it's something that we can think to do reasonably. It's not gonna happen
I've
tomorrow.
had more and more people come forward and show interest in it, so.
Okay.
How would you
yeah.
wanna do the community survey, just online or in the month, I mean, do people still get the
I
newsletter?
can work with the commission and we can put together maybe a questionnaire of perhaps, 5 to 10 questions, and I can put it out on social media.
I
and
think
ask
10 questions
residents
is
to-
too many,
Okay,
just five
Okay.
questions sounds good to me, so.
Sure. yeah, so I can work on that, and we can start just seeing what the,
Yeah,
what
I think
interest would be.
we're working on it, we wanna be sure the town wants to.
And I see, before we move on,
Yeah.
where it's, the restrooms, it says pending and the
Yes.
inclusive playground, I thought that was.
So, we did not, the cost of the inclusive playground, far exceeded, available grant funding, so we were told that we would not qualify. We are still working towards, researching other options for potential available funding for the restrooms, which is why both of them are still on the list at this time. But come, again, the first of the year, we might have to start making some changes to it, perhaps removing the inclusive playground if we're not gonna be able to find funding for it.
So the restrooms, that was also too expensive,
It
like for us
was.
to get funding.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, I think what we estimated for the project and the quotes that we received to
Far.
build it was far exceeded what we had anticipated, yeah. So we'll have to revisit those options, when we submit this list again, but I think the hope is to discuss and come to some kind of agreement on the priority list for this, at a meeting in January. At the latest, I think March, because we would like to bring it to, approval of the mayor and council, at one of their meetings in March. So that is just the timeline on that. Okay, but I'll work on the survey to see if we can get that going to,
Yeah.
see what kind of interest we have with the community for.
Would be proper time maybe just make a motion that we start actively pursuing pickleball. I'd like to put that in the form of a motion that we start the actual groundwork for looking into it
Okay.
formally.
Because we're all in agreement
don't-
that it's something that the
Yeah.
town would like.
Yeah, I've had just in recent, last couple of weeks, a couple of people come forward and
Okay.
ask, inquire about it. And I did obtain it, I mentioned earlier, the first $100 donation to it from the church now, so,
That's, okay, that's
yeah.
great. I don't think, that's something that needs to be an action item, if you will, I think we
Right.
can,
Just, yeah,
just,
okay.
yeah, but,
Put it in the back burner.
yeah, but I can certainly put together a survey and we can,
Okay.
I guess our next meeting would be in November, so we can put this, if you would like, I can put the topic of pickleball on
Yeah.
to the meeting agenda and have
Yeah,
that be a
definitely
discussion
have
item.
to keep it active.
Okay.
Lovely.
Okay, and the other thing that you will have in your packet, this is just for your review. We did officially submit a grant application, a community parks and playground grant application for updating the large play unit at Henry Park. I know when we all got together for the National Night Out, we discussed it, but what you will see in your meeting packet is a copy of the application. It's fairly lengthy, so I do apologize, but there is a quote that Game Time had provided us to get a ballpark idea of what we would be looking at cost-wise to ensure that the price of the project would fall within available grant funding through the Community Parks and Playground Program. So the specs included may change going forward if we're fortunate enough to receive any funding for it, but this is a rough start of where we're hopefully going with updating the equipment at the park. But if you have any questions, our mastermind of pursuing this project is sitting to the right of me. So if you have any questions or anything, please feel free to ask them.
I'm trying to understand the swing set there. Are they all the same, all the way across, or two of them?
So what this plan involves is extending the existing swing that's there, the existing two-bay swing. We actually be removing the top swing that's there, extending the existing two-bay swing, adding another bay with some top swings in it.
Okay,
That way we're not losing any swings or anything like that. It gives us more area to put more features like there's a rope climber in the little map there now. So just
Yeah.
a little bit more space.
yeah, adding another kind of, now and also, I see that there is a seat that is there presently, which looks like it's I don't know, it has is it for disabled?
ADAC, yeah,
ADAC.
that would say, yeah.
That's okay,
Yeah.
because it's not marked on there. Will we be replacing that, or do
That's
we need a
actually-
new one?
That's actually new.
Okay.
The
I
one at
did-
Henry
yeah.
Park was just put up, I put that up, I believe, last year. The one at Stephen Decatur Park is actually set to be replaced.
Okay,
Next
that's
couple.
good, yeah,
That one is really, really, really old.
Yeah,
I
all-
think it really gets beat up a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. All the swings, all the chains, and two of the spinners that have recently broken Stephen Decatur Park should be delivered next week. All that stuff will be.
Lovely, lovely. And will these other swings, are they all in good condition that we have?
At Henry Park,
At Henry
yes.
Park,
Yes,
okay.
yeah. They're
Perfect.
in good shape.
Oh, that's very exciting. It's really gonna open up a lot of space, getting rid of that, odd swing set that we have right now.
Sure.
It looks like it'll be more substantial as well. And I'll be so glad to see new stuff. It's just more fun.
So, unless you have any other questions regarding the application, the timeline on award notification is quite a bit of a ways away. We really don't expect to be notified of any kind of decision until after the first of the year, probably next spring, so.
Right.
And then what would the
Fingers
timeline for,
crossed.
how long does it take to,
I do believe we put in here, let me just make sure before I speak out of line. I do believe, yeah, the estimated date of completion, if awarded, would be within 12 months of the award.
So it could be at any time, in 24 probably,
Yes.
hopefully.
Yes, hopefully by the end of 24 it's awarded. Because of course then coming into the colder weather, if we're not notified until
right?
spring, we're coming into, the summer, but then fall and winter are behind us, so.
Well, fortunately, we
Yeah,
have
but
an
it's-
extended building here, time, so we're not as pressed as somebody like in Minnesota.
And, yeah, it's true. And a lot of the safety issues that were found, on that structure have been taken care of. So, I mean, we're still, even though it's it's in the plans and hopefully it's gonna be replaced. We're still fixing stuff as it comes along. I've got spare parts we're swapping out there, so we're still trying to make it as safe as we possibly can until we get a new structure.
Thank you.
Mr. Hunt, on page 16 of the packet, which is part of the grant application, if you just wanted to review it, it's in very, very tiny font, so I apologize, but the design start date, if awarded, would be within 3 months of the award.
Oh,
And the
good.
design end date would be within 6 months. And
I
the
see.
weather permitting, of course, the construction and installation end date would be within 12 months of the award. So
Okay.
there's an estimated timeline on page 16.
Good. Well, that's good, so look, you know, that's, it's not like they're gonna start after 12 months, it should be completed.
Correct.
That's
Correct,
excellent.
yeah.
Very good.
All right, so Mr. Wiley, did you want to highlight anything, or did you want to?
Well, as long as we're gonna move forward and it's, you know, it's on
For
the table
pickleball?
now
Sure.
for pickleball,
Okay.
you know, I went through and just found some of the cases where people, what they said, relatively simple transfer over and everything.
Okay.
Not very expensive, and like I say, we've involved in, I think, politics, you know, getting people come forward and said they're interested in it and pushing for it, so.
Sure.
Would you still be able to play tennis?
Yeah, the stuff that I found, they claim, yeah.
Well, then to me, it's a no-brainer.
you know.
Well, you have to have the nets differently, don't you?
There,
Or is it-
the one thing said that without adjusting them, I don't know anything about tennis, so, but they had some terminology in there, but,
Folds down or something.
yeah, somehow, but apparently it's being done. I've read several different articles, so.
Yeah, I think we haven't explored the possibilities of it in too much detail, but at the time that we talked about it in the spring, again, it's conversion of 2 existing tennis courts into 6 pickleball courts. So I would imagine that there's a bunch of other options.
Yeah, some of the stuff I read was getting just 4 out of, you know, instead of 6. In other words, 2 and 2. Makes it a little, I don't know the dimensions, how much it's reduced, but obviously it's a lot smaller area.
It is, yeah.
I think that these are, we'll be exploring, and maybe before we make those decisions, go and see pickle, because
Yeah,
I'm
Pines.
unfamiliar with the pickleball.
Yeah, Ocean
courts.
Pines has it. I know
Well,
some
they
people,
have some, I
yeah.
don't know if there's different sizes, so if we
Yeah.
have to choose sizes, I would wanna see. So it sounds like we get to do some road trips.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
the Ocean
some
Pines.
research to see what-
Yeah, research.
Right.
Um,
Okay, so that's all we have on the agenda, but I do believe, do we have a member that would like to?
This gentleman is from the middle school, or, yeah. And he's wanting to come forward, some projects and stuff, so.
Okay.
I'm just interested in some projects. I worked with Maryland Coastal Bays, and I did a stormwater management project off of Flower Street several years ago, and we recently have 2 field trips we do not do, and so I'm trying to do walking field trips that are low cost but can benefit the community, work towards maintaining our green school certification, that kind of thing. So I just came to see what it is that you guys are planning for, let's say, for example, Heron Park, those kind of things for either restorations or planting. I've been working with the National Aquarium for 14 years doing restorations with the Atlantic White Cedars. So I'm looking to expand that in the place of what we've kind of lost. And low maintenance stuff. Obviously, planting of trees doesn't require a lot of maintenance afterwards, depending on where they're located, and then also possibility of mitigating some invasive species, which I did some training on this summer with the Smithsonian. So I'm just putting out feelers right now because I really don't know who all is involved with that. Like I said, I've worked with Smithsonian, I've worked with National Aquarium, Nature Conservancy, so I'm just trying to see what projects are within a really small radius from where the school is that could help the school, like I said, keep that and then also benefit the community.
Now, were you part of the middle school work that we've done previously with we've worked with middle schoolers in the past? I just, you know, we've done projects where they've come over and they, at one point they worked on the edible garden and,
That's what I would, yeah.
Yeah.
I've only been involved with stormwater management projects, which usually, once they have the terraforming done, they would get all that done with an engineering group out of Salisbury, and then we came in and worked with Maryland Coastal Bays, and we became the labor and did all the plant.
wow. There, you know, the list is so long. I
Right.
mean, you know, for instance, one great project would be removing vines from trees.
Right,
That is, you get an immediate bang for that. The
Yeah.
kids.
Polywisteria,
Well, you see all the white flowers?
right,
Get rid of that. Good luck with the wisteria. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a monster, but yes. The invasive vines are
I haven't
killing
done
our
any,
trees.
I'll tell you, I haven't done any mitigation, but I know that it needs to be part of a bigger picture and plan, especially with some of the training I did
We have-
this summer. So I want it to be something that stays.
One
And-
thing that comes to my mind is the tree line along 113 at Stephen Decatur Park, also Henry Park could use.
Right,
But we would love to have a line of trees to buffer 113 from our two parks.
right.
And
Yeah.
these are near the schools.
Yeah, I only speak for Berlin Intermediate.
Oh,
That's-
Berlin Intermediate, yes, and that's, I remember you guys did you had the cedar trees that they kept watering. They had a bunch of cedar trees behind them, right?
Yes, we've been
I
doing
remember
that.
that now.
I'm still doing that now.
So it's, how wonderful that project is still going. And I was discussing with you in the hall that we do have a stand of white cedar
Right.
in Stephen Decatur Park,
Right.
which, you know, they're, obviously, we have a lot of mature trees and we need to get some replanting done. We
Right.
need a plan
Right,
for our tree planting, which I don't believe that we have. And as a matter of fact, that's something we need to do to become a tree city, isn't it? We need some kind of tree planting plan.
Well, we have a rough, short-term plan, something that we came up with for Stephen Decatur Park, I think it's like 10 trees or something.
Okay.
And part of it was along the road, trying to create a buffer out there with,
And
bald cypress.
Sorry, this is with the horticultural group?
This
or-
was with the horticulture group, but also just
Okay.
Public Works.
Sure.
That's awesome.
I also applied for, the Urban Trees grant, and I'm actually having a meeting on, I think it's Thursday. Lady had some questions she wanted to ask. As far as what our plans are, where we're planning, what we're doing, that kind of stuff.
I did some bald cypress also when we first initiated the National Aquarium one. So, I'm familiar with working with that one too, but, yeah, like I said, the biggest thing for me is, radius and staying on the west side of 113. It becomes doable.
I was gonna say, Henry Park be possible?
To be honest, I don't know where Henry Park is.
No, that's across the highway.
It's across.
Yeah, they have to stay, that's why Stephen Decatur Park and even Heron Park would be an attractive.
Is Henry Park near Flower Street?
It is on.
It's on the
Okay.
opposite side.
I did the restoration on the back of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes all the way through to one.
Cost me over $1,000 to drive from Berlin Intermediate School to that location.
Yeah,
Get the kids.
yeah,
I was like, when I got the bus bill, I was like, oh, it's like I could take a slingshot and fire it across there, but that 113 is a no,
it's a no pass.
it's a no-go,
You
no-go.
shall not pass.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
No, they're very, I agree.
Yeah.
But, you know, things, now, I guess the horticultural committee really needs to be, we really need to be discussing more with the horticultural committee what their plans are, so that we can all work in
That was,
concert.
I think we, if I remember at last meeting, that's what they were here for, to
And I
talk
was-
about.
that's not it.
Yeah, so, yeah, we have a rough plan in place for Stephen Decatur Park. Henry Park, we're still working on what we would put, where we would put there. But at least in the short term, the 10 trees or whatever we planned at Stephen Decatur Park, I mean, that was, I believe, I don't remember if everyone approved it last time. I think so, because that's the reason why the HUC was here last meeting.
I do think that, if I recall, and I apologize if I'm misspeaking, but I do think that they were going to finalize their plan and come before the Parks Commission again once the plan is finalized.
Okay.
If, unless I'm,
Yeah, I can reach back out to them.
yeah.
Yeah, if they could, send a picture of it or a map or just an
Right.
outline somehow. Just so because there's that, we also have, one of the things that I'm really hoping will happen with the SHA, all that water that comes off of the highway. It is a severe flooding problem it goes all the way up to the top lot, really. So this SHA needs to give us a nice water retention pond. So just keep that in mind. I put it out there, I'm asking for it. Apparently they're asking for ideas, so that's something that will really help us with our water control, which we'll talk about another time. But for the parks, I think that just be aware that where that one little ditch is that's supposed to control all the water, we're hoping that they're going to give us one of those nice water retention areas like they have in every other spot on the highway. So, and that might be, apparently there's some fast money out there from the highway. So I'm hoping we can get that done. So just be aware,
Yeah.
they will plant there.
What's the timeline for the tree planting?
We had talked about doing it this fall, so I'm not sure if that's still on, but that originally is when we had planned on doing it.
Trees can always be moved if they have to be. We don't like to plant a tree twice, but if, I think it's a good idea to move forward with the planting, just personally.
Just roughly off the top of my head, like I said, part of the trees that we were gonna plant were to kind of fortify that buffer by the road. Some other ones were in the middle of kind of the open areas in Stephen Decatur Park, just creating more shade. They were just kind of strewing about in there.
Because we've lost some big trees in there
Yeah,
over time.
so I think just trying to make up for what we lost, and trying to create
Red
more
alert.
shade there.
It's awesome.
The red alert.
Sorry.
It's gonna be potty in the water.
Is
Oh,
that possible? I know it's the same time.
It is possible. I actually already contacted SHA because I was checking on their greenways to see about another project.
Yep.
And,
This has not even hit the paper. The mayor probably has not even asked for this yet. I've been asking for it for 5 years, but nobody's listened to me. But that would be lovely if you could put in a good word with SHA, that's what we need.
well, I went over their Snow Hill. It's probably been a couple months ago. I'm also working with 4-H. So they have their forestry division. So I'm trying to kind of bring everybody together, so to speak, because I find that those are the strongest associations that last the years. So I'm currently working with Barb Bargy over at Maryland Extension out of Snow Hill from, I guess that's from College Park. But anyway, in trying to get her into the classrooms and then start doing projects that are kind of like Keystone. So you teach and then there's a reason for doing it. You're going to a location to do something to restore an area or,
It's awesome.
something along that line. So
We would love to partner with you in any project that a dream of mine is if you've been on 113 going south, approaching the Food Line intersection,
yes,
that bank of calorie pears that's along the bank of the water, all of that.
stormwater management for the
it's
food
just,
line.
It's just so, where the gas station is. Before you get to the gas station, there's
Okay.
that kind of slope that goes up to where the ponds are in there.
Yes,
That
yes.
whole slope is just covered in, what is it, Bradford pears,
yes.
calorie pears. So that just needs to be removed and replaced with native
Right.
plants.
Right.
So that is my dream.
Okay, well, again, in mine, I was talking with another lady over here about oaks, which have very high biopotential in terms of the number of things.
Absolutely.
However, I also wanted to do something, since I'm usually working with species that have been impacted some way by some kind of plague or something. So elms is one. DNR I know is working quite heavily on having areas where they're replanting that. So I wanted to do that, and then the other idea was to maybe in the park, if you've been to Salisbury, you can see they have a wide diversity. Now, obviously they have groundskeepers, but they have all these different plants, and they identify them. So if you were to do that and make it kind of like a, I don't know if it's ad hoc arboretum kind of idea.
Well, we
Where-
do have an arboretum in town already at Calvary Taylor House Museum.
Okay.
And that's it, but it would be lovely if the whole town was an arboretum.
Right. So you could take kids over there and start teaching them how to identify plants, and then in some of those places you can go ahead and move it and see what the species is, and start doing plant taxonomy and get them involved in outdoor, paying attention to the environment. Basically.
And is this the main park that's just around in the whole park there? I haven't walked over in their park for.
Like I said, there was a issue with the park for a while, so we I kind of dropped it because of some water quality
I've been to the
issues.
state, yeah, never mind, say no more.
So I obviously have those considerations I have to take. On the other hand, they want data from it. I don't know exactly, without talking with an expert, what we're referring to there, but monitoring, long-term monitoring by using the kids, if that is a safe thing to do, would be a great way for them to do environmental monitoring, collecting data over long periods of
I
time.
think that's an excellent, they have many potential, as we change to monitor the changes, monitor the
Right.
wildlife.
So that's what
monitor the size of
NGSS,
trees.
which is the National Science Standards, want them collecting live data. They want them analyzing the data, paying attention to what's happening.
What do you think of the parks as a laboratory?
So that's where I was kind of going with it, and then also, because most of my stuff has been, other than the stormwater management project that I did with the city council back a while ago with Maryland Coastal Base, most of it has been reforestation of a semi-threatened threatened species in the area. So that's kind of where I went. So I don't know what you guys have on the planning board that would be close enough geographically for me to be able to sustain it without expense and be a benefit to Parks and Rec, but not become a problem for maintenance.
There's things we've tried in the past, like keeping a meadow up, and it kind of
Yes.
got out of hand.
It does?
So this would be something that would be an excellent
Yes.
project for us to rekindle. I think this would be the kind of thing that
Yeah,
would.
I'm not too much
fit
into
in.
gardens because they do have maintenance is always an issue, especially long term. So if you have something that's been planted, which will become, if you maintain it for a while, succession will take over and you don't have to maintain it anymore. You're just adding more trees or tree diversity or whatever the case may be. So you're not like everyday perennials, annuals, kind of things where it ends up dying and you've got what is considered a quote eyesore, which may not be, but
Well, the easiest way to have a meadow is to mow once in the spring and then
Yeah.
let it go through. And then you mow it once in the spring and you let it go through. And that is pretty much as we can manage.
right.
But we
that
just
also
have to
requires
have a plan to do it.
yes, because like for example, Nature Conservancy has several spots where they do exactly what you're talking about because of bringing specific birds in the area, and I'm very big into birds, so it's kind of all tied together. But again, it falls on
Right.
it
So
falls on
this is-
someone else besides me because I don't have tractors and people and
Absolutely. We're volunteers and we do rely on Public Works, and we're very grateful for all the work that they do. I do not like to add anything extra, so that's
Yes.
why we say one-time mow, and that's a
Right.
pretty good deal, but.
So if we were to move forward with, say, planting trees this fall, I know you'd mentioned vine mitigation. There is a particular area of Stephen Decatur Park, around the pond that's heavily overgrown with vines that we were gonna try to get to this fall, when it cooled down a little bit. So I mean, if it's projects like that we have on the table for this fall and coming months, is that something that
that is possible. Are you planning on doing physical removal and then herbicide on top of it, or are you doing?
herbicide wouldn't be done with volunteers or anything like that.
Okay.
That would be something we would do, close off that area of the park and then do
Gotcha.
afterwards. But as far as just going in, cutting, stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, like I said, I would be interested in seeing what the project is. I don't, in my head, I can't see it there. We've walked down there and we've done some end of year barbecues and things like that for sixth grade, but we haven't been vested in that particular piece of real estate. Like I said, it's not all that much farther probably than going to Heron Park now.
It's probably about, I guess, about the same distance wise.
Yeah. So I have to be able to fit it in the school day.
Sure.
So there are certain parameters I have to work with, and again,
Well, I live just beyond the park. My kids used to be able to walk to school, to the intermediate school, it was in the middle school. But, so they could do that in the morning and get, you know, and it was, this is closer than that.
Right.
So,
I am always very cognizant of the people who have to do the maintenance.
oh, yeah.
The project will not work if you don't have the
Yeah.
blessings of maintenance,
Sure.
unless you have a successional one where it's just gonna go. Which is why I was talking to SHA, because they've got a lot of mitigation property from 113 and so on that's sitting fallow. So,
I think the one thing that would be probably finds is, you'd have to make sure there was no poison ivy or, you know, like,
That is part of
kids.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there is some back there. So, I mean, but even like planting trees, like you said, you know, that's hopefully on the table for this fall. Relatively low maintenance once they've have the roots set in and everything. So, I mean, stuff like that we have on the agenda, and we'd certainly, it's something we were gonna do with or without help, so we'd certainly appreciate, you know.
and I do after school. After school just got refunded. And so I always do a lot of ornithology stuff, but I can also get a smaller population. So if you don't have a lot of trees to plant, then it can be doable.
Yeah.
My big problem will be that after school is an even shorter time for me to walk down there. But again, these are all logistics. If I know what you're looking at, then I can start to kind of dream it up, so to speak.
And I can even, I mean, I can take you down there, we can walk the grounds, I can kind of show you what I'm thinking as far as, you know, what we'd be able to accomplish in a day or something. like
Gotcha.
that. That's certainly, we can do that.
So, all right. Well, thank you.
Very much, yeah. Any other comments, concerns, questions for tonight?
I just wanted to
Yeah, of course.
meet the committee. I'm Laura Mulvaney. I'm a pretty new resident to Berlin, and I live on Burley Street. And I have I've loved hearing this conversation today because a lot of what you were talking about, I have personal and volunteer experience with, and I'm here to see how I might lend some of my personal and professional experience to help the town. So I am a project manager with Geographic Information Systems, and I actually work in stormwater management realm. So I plan, I've had to inventory stormwater management things, plan for, etc., execute stormwater management. As a volunteer, I've done reforestation projects, built rain gardens, bioretention, all of those things. I've worked with kids to do a lot of projects as I work for the school. But anyway,
Sorry.
so I'm a planner, you know, and it seems like the town could maybe use some help with coordinating some of these efforts, specifically in the park. And since I live on Burley Street, I have a big interest to hear about what's happening there on the 113 corridor. I walk that area every day, so I have a lot of ideas of my own that I'd love to get involved and see how I can help.
I'd like to hear your ideas.
Yeah, specifically the idea about the SHA opportunity. So I did some measurements today, and it looks like besides the park proper, the square, you know, green part on the map, the two parcels that are the North Burley Street parcels, there's approximately 0.3 acres available in the right side parcel for stormwater management or tree planting. Well, that's much more than 10 trees.
Right.
So that would be about, so at reforestation standards, that'd be about 33 trees. And I do know of programs, maybe you've already applied for, that the 5 million trees from DNR to free trees there, but SHA is always looking for opportunities to do mitigation. And considering that we have flooding on Burley Street already, and we are, have an issue with Bottle Branch, to me, that would be a really good opportunity to pursue the, consideration of a stormwater management facility along there, which can include trees on the backside, So anyway, I just want to offer that I would love to be, also I helped to start the Anne Arundel County Weed Warrior Program, which is a volunteer program to work with invasive plants, or to remove invasive plants from community spaces. So I am trained as an invasive species expert, and I'm also on the state committee for the invasive plant action committee for the state of Maryland. So anyway, I love to help Berlin, and I love it here.
Maybe
So
once we're offline, you can ask for both of your contact
Yeah,
information
yeah.
so we have it.
Yeah.
Sure.
we can make good things happen.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
wonderful, it's wonderful, get the horticultural committee too, would
Yeah.
probably, it's creating a lot of,
Yeah, absolutely,
everybody's got the same idea about
Yeah.
Berlin.
absolutely.
I know all about Laura's Weed Warrior program. She trained my daughter.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, and before we do, I would like to introduce our new member to the Parks Commission, Ms. Kristen Gerhardt. She will be sworn in officially at the next mayor and council meeting at the end of the month, so not Monday, but the next meeting, I think it's the 25th.
It's the 25th.
So she'll be sworn in there and then joining us for our first meeting officially in November. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah. Okay, so that is all we have.
I'm gonna sit in the meeting.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all, thanks.